Hey there guys, and welcome back to another how-to video brought to you by Hobbies Direct. My name's Hamish, and today I'm going to be showing you how to check and set the gear mesh on your RC car. Now this is something I regularly do as a part of my general maintenance, unless I'm prompted by loud noises coming from the gears, or I'm aware of a heavy impact on my previous run that may have affected the position of the motor. You should also check and set your gear mesh whenever you're replacing the pinion gear, spur gear, or even the motor itself. Optimum gear mesh is where both the pinion and spur gear have full purchase with one another while maintaining the slightest amount of backlash. When set correctly, it'll drastically reduce the chances of you stripping out your gears. Now you'll want to start by removing the gear cover. On this particular model, I also find it easiest if I remove one of the wheels as well, just to help gain access to the screws that hold the gear cover on. Once you've got clear access at your two gears, start by checking your current gear mesh. Now do this by holding the pinion gear and then rocking the spur gear back and forth. What we're checking for is the amount of backlash between the two gears. Let's take a look at a loose gear mesh. Here we can see that only the very tips of the gears are touching one another, and there's a fair bit of backlash between the two gears. Compare that to a tight gear mesh where the gears are quite firm to rotate and there's no backlash whatsoever. If your current gear mesh looks and feels like either of these, you'll need to adjust it to prevent stripping out your gears. Now if you need to adjust your gear mesh, start by simply loosening off your motor screws and adjusting your motor in or out accordingly. Once you're happy with the position of your motor and the amount of backlash between the two gears, go ahead and tighten up your motor screws. Now you'll want to double check your gear mesh once your motor's tight, as it's not uncommon for the motor to shift a little bit as you're tightening up the motor screws. If you're still happy with your gear mesh, I also recommend that you rotate the gears 360 degrees while checking the gear mesh in multiple positions. Now we do this to avoid any loose or tight spots may be caused by a slightly out of round gear. Now if you're struggling to set your gear mesh just right, don't worry. There's an old trick where you cut a strip of typical printing paper and you place it between the two gears while your motor's loose. Then firmly push the motor back up against the spur gear and tighten the motor screws back up. Once your motor's tight, remove the piece of paper and the end result should be an almost perfect gear mesh. Another good little tip whenever checking your gears is to make sure that the pinion gear is running true with the spur gear, as it's not uncommon for it to sometimes slide on the motor shaft and become misaligned with the spur gear. Well there you go guys, you now know how to check and set your own gear mesh. I do hope you found this video useful, and be sure to click that subscribe button as we've got more RC related videos on the way. Thanks for watching.